What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I got Soul Saint, my clanmate, on the channel, guys. We're gonna talk about some of the most busted relics and gemstones in the game and how they will actually influence the game, right? Because a lot of things will get influenced by the relics and the gemstones. Not just yet, because we will have to slowly collect some of these OP relics and gemstones. But my god, once we're gonna be loaded with them, the game, the whole dynamic of a fight, it will completely change. Now, I do want to say one thing before I'm going to let my guest speak in here, guys. We've recorded a different video on his channel, so feel free to head over, drop him a sub. Awesome dude. I will leave the link in the description down below. But what's up, Soul Saint? Nice to finally have you on the channel, dude.
I know. I keep whispering and messaging Mr. Skratch here, and when you gonna have a little dinner date with me? And he was like, I forgot. I appreciate you having me on the channel, and hello everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a
Yeah,
good day.
it finally happened, because we've been talking
Yeah.
for a while now. But yeah, guys, as I mentioned, there are some broken, busted relics, and maybe some of them in a good way. I'm not talking about the same type of broken that we had for the last few weeks, where the relics were saying one thing and doing a completely different thing, right? Because they've messed up the coding. How
Hmm.
you guys like to say it in the comments, spaghetti coding. But we do have some really strong ones. Sorry, and I want to let you start by giving me one of your top relics, like one of
Okay.
your most favorite ones.
All right. So we know with relics that you can get like a passive bonus as well as like some additional stats, and then
Yeah,
not to mention the gemstones themselves. For
correct.
me, one of the most busted ones that I could think of right now, in terms of just what it gives in raw stats, is Hallowed Hilt. It's one of
Yeah,
the mythicals that are out, and when people get this, I want to say that until like the rest of the community catches up, if you're so lucky to get this right off the rip, it's going to give you an
massive.
advantage in terms of like just speed racing in general, which is very strong in today's current meta.
Mm,
And that plus 24, that's just it's ash that it there's not a single like another relic compared to this one that gives that much in that particular stat. Not to mention it gives the fervor buff, which if you guys haven't seen it before, it's going to give you a plus 10% damage increase and a plus 10% damage mitigation per the fervor. And that right there could be the game changer for you being able to completely KO an enemy if you're boosting them or healing them. Think about maybe like your Sify, for example, if you're speed racing with her. Her A1 gives a heal, which could then apply a fervor buff on your champion. And you just got more output just from her being in play with this relic on top of that. So, speed, boosting up and protecting your team, for the lack of better words, as well as some complementary HP resistance. And not to mention, 4 gemstone sockets with as Skratch was saying, crazy amount of value. Crazy
yeah,
amount of value.
I think this is definitely the number one relic for speed boosters, right? I feel like nothing else comes close to it, even though you're not necessarily getting the most insane value in terms of the passive skill, the active skill that the relic actually offers. But getting that 24 speed is more than half of a boot, right? So
Hmm.
it's definitely a very strong one. And then talking about gemstones, because you have some really strong gemstones for this one. You have the circular ones, gaining a 10% additional turn meter. That's gonna work on you as well. So you're gonna be able to rotate faster in terms of turns as well. Um, tons of different options on how you can customize them. There's so many different type of gemstones, and some of them are kind of like tied more towards the type of character, support, damage dealers, etc. But I feel like you can definitely pull off some crazy combinations with this one. What other gemstones would you like for this relic personally?
For this one in particular, I do agree that the invigorated is really good. The one that you were showing earlier for
Yep.
the rare circular one, that's pretty strong. There are some unorthodox ones that kind of play off of the healing side of things. So it's kind of like very small but potential. Since you can
Mm,
only do like I believe diamonds and circular gemstones. Looking at the diamonds
yep.
one in particular, healing go. That one right there. Since
Massive.
you already kind of go with heals, it has a chance to giving you an extra turn. So like maybe you speed boosted and you got an impulse set and you got a reset on the A2, but you're just one turn short. And then you go with that A1 heal to CC, like maybe if you're using Sify, you can get A2 again because you get that extra turn on top of that, which is speed plus the healing. You see the synergy kind of come to light with that. Or
Yeah.
um I guess you could say also maybe the expeditious exploitation too, which is a speed one right there as well.
Yeah.
Um, that gives you whenever you sleep somebody, like using Siffy as that example too, speed boosting, and then having additional speed because you're sleeping someone, and then a little bit there. It's not too much crazy, but something that's not too bad to kind of add even more flavor on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. And man, I cannot wait to get some of these mythical gemstones. I think I have
Yeah.
one. I think I have one, but it's nothing too spectacular to be honest with you. Hopefully soon I'll
Well,
get some.
that makes one of us because I still haven't gotten mine yet either.
Mm,
Unlucky on my side.
yeah, I'm gonna talk about the aspect of siroth. This is a legendary one and is a pretty nasty one. It definitely gives your champion a chance to survive. And once again, I'm not really looking so much into the actual stats that they have. It's more the actual skill of the relic. When the wearer receives fatal damage, reduces it by 50% of their turn meter. So think about, uh, example, you have this on Marichka, right? Then you have Georgit coming to smack your Marichka. Your Marichka will already have close to 100% turn meter, 90% turn meter, or something like that. Reducing that damage by 50% from a Georgit can make it or break it. She's gonna stay alive. She's not gonna stay alive. And then with the gemstones as well, once again, you have some solid circular ones as well that can be very helpful. You can go as well for the square ones, which will be pretty strong. Here is a bit more hard to be honest, because they're not necessarily the best gemstones for what we're thinking about. You could go potentially for Statfast. If the wearer loses 20% or more of their max HP from a single attack, the next hit receives less damage, 20% less damage. So you have a few options, but the relic itself, even without the gems, is just such a freaking powerful
Big
relic.
value. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even then, like there are some ones that are not like too crazy. Like on that same square one you were talking about
Mm.
for Gemstone, single combat master, the epic, the first one.
Yep.
Like I said, it's not over the top,
That's
like
good as
very very
well. Yeah.
strong, but it's not bad for like complementary on top of the whole point of this relic is to give you an extra chance of surviving a hit that
Yep.
you would normally not, right? So
Mm.
give me a little bit of mitigation on top of that may be the difference maker.
Yep. 100%. So there are some very strong ones as well. What other relic you have on the broken menu?
Okay, this one is a little bit more unorthodox, but I feel like it
Okay.
has some really crazy value. And in our previous video, we talked about percentages, and it may not seem like much at first, but as it goes over time, 10%, 20%, it adds up, and it actually
Yep.
triggers a lot more than people think, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna go with Orb of Transfixion.
Okay.
I think that the stat spread's not too bad. I do think that being able to have a percentage chance of stealing a random buff when you're attacking an enemy could be very, very good, and it's irresistible. So, resistance not being a contributing factor in terms of affecting your build, although you do get accuracy with this if you do need to. I was thinking about maybe perhaps like a scenario where you're using, for those that have them, maybe like a Commodus. You have like a bomb champion, so
Mm.
accuracy and speed really good. All those stats are great for him. But like maybe you need to work around some buffs that the enemy may get, such as like block damage, which is a very big deterrent for bombing
Yep.
people. Maybe while you're applying that damage, it'll trigger, and you still get that steal effect, and that could be just like a catch all for a scenario where you would normally lose that interaction, and now you're capitalizing off it. I think that'd be really, really busted in terms of an opportunity. And 20% is not bad. I don't think that's a bad option for opportunities to be able to do something. And even off of other champions too as well, just doing any type of hit on them, getting a chance to steal something from them makes the enemy more subjective to being punished, which is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
100%. Like they definitely introduce a lot of RNG as well with these relics because uh,
Hmm.
I don't think we're gonna be able to see what relics everyone has equipped, right? So it's gonna be a massive gamble when you're going to fight because you have no idea what that person might have. Some
Yeah.
might have orb of transfixion as an example, right? Or they might have a different relic that will reduce your chance of removing their buffs or locking their skills or other crazy things like this. So definitely crazy things are on the menu once the relics will become available to the masses. Like to get the actual good relics. Finally, I got my first legendary relic today as well, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on to it. That's the hand of uncreation. So I got this today. So much RNG into a fight, so freaking powerful. The wearer reduces the chance of debuff application, buff removal, steal effects, thermite reduction, and increase skill cooldown by 10%. Once you're going to level that up, it's going to go up to 20% chance to basically block the enemy from doing that to the wearer. You're getting very good stats from it. So I feel like this is really, really powerful, man. Like, so much RNG to a fight. Like, you're going to bring in a lockout, right? Or you're going to bring in a Armans or something like that, trying to get my Thermitor or trying to do something. And it's not going to work because the 20% chance procs, and I'm going to clap you because of it, right? It's just such a game changer that really, I feel like is mainly made to counter the champions that lock the skills, to create more RNG in that scenario. So I think it's a very strong one as well, this one, yeah.
Yeah, and like putting it into perspective too, you were saying that like these champions that are very known for like being able to go first in a second, this is very complimentary to like maybe you may not be the fastest, and in response to them being able to go ahead of you and using things that would deter you from being able to get into the fight, lockout like you said, or maybe debuff, or even sheep, which is a debuff in essence. Having that extra percentage chance of reducing it being successful could be the thing that changes the tide for you. They thought they were going to get ahead and abuse the fact that they were faster, and then this right here just says it doesn't matter what you're doing. I'm still relevant in this fight, and
Yep.
that's super super strong.
And you do have some pretty good pentagonal gemstones as well, either to give you more accuracy when you're using thermitor reduction effects, or quite a few different options. You can gain more resistance if you want to, or um, the survival speed fills the thermitor by 10% when their HP drops below 50. So many different options on the gemstones as well. The circular gems, we kind of like cover them in a way or another. Like invigorated is going to be very nice because you're going to bring in a different thermitor booster to push that. You can gain more accuracy as well when you're resisting a debuff or stuff like that. So you do have some pretty solid options for this relic too. What other relic you have on the menu?
All right, so this one is actually going to be a little bit more of an underrated one, and it's
Okay.
actually easier to acquire. I feel like Molten Deathbell as a rare relic actually has a lot of substance to it, especially
Yeah.
for champions that are very well known in today's current meta. We were
Mm.
talking about Armands, Odin, and champions that apply debuffs in general.
Yeah.
Being able to get some value on top of doing control just makes it even harder and more oppressive to be able to stop those enemies or those champions from just keeping the ball going.
Mm.
Being able to reduce or increase your turn meter whenever you're applying a stun, sleep, fear, true fear, basically any hard CC for the most part, giving you more of an opportunity to get into the fight even more. Like say for instance with Odin, that could be the thing that allows you to get to your next turn to do the big A3 that just taps out one enemy of your choice. Just makes it super strong. And as a matter of fact, I'm actually using this one on my Odin in particular for right now.
Yeah, it's a good one
And
though.
yeah, I think it's considering that it's accessible, being a rare relic is a good start. Good stats to go with it. Good passive. And then speaking of gemstones, I think you kind of hit the nail on that one. We're gonna go to the pentagonal ones for this.
Yep.
Being able to do some things whenever you don't have the success of it, like speedy willpower, like using that Onin as an example. If you're trying to do a lot of debuffs and maybe one of them didn't land on someone in particular, you're gaining even more on top of that. Or there's a lot of value out of almost a lot of the gemstones. I think that's going to be really really busted actually.
Yeah,
um
it's a pretty good one. All of the champions that crowd control at the same time, especially
mhm.
Odin, you have Armans, which are probably the two that benefit the most out of this relic.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Mm.
I think it's a very strong one, very easy to acquire initially, and then you're able to expand upon your build even more because it has some really good complementary stats on top of that, making it well
Yeah.
rounded, in my opinion.
Mm. It's definitely a pretty strong one. I'm gonna move on to a damage one, bro, because this is absolutely insane, guys. So when we're
Mm.
talking about a damage relic, you're not gonna find a better one, okay? And that is the Irethi coronet. I just want to start by saying that people that were dealing a good amount of damage in the Hydra with a champion like a Tranda, with a champion like a Toshiro, with a champion like a Ninja, basically champions that debuff, this is just gonna increase their damage by 30%. 30% is a lot of damage, guys. So this is absolutely insane. You're getting the attack, you're getting the accuracy, you're getting some HP, survivability, right? Which is not the most important thing, but being able to get that and then socket in some pretty good gemstones as well. You can get Boss Slayer if you're gonna be fortunate enough to get this mythical one. The wearer deals 10% more damage to bosses. Again, it's going to be absolutely massive once you're gonna get this. 40% damage is just like, my god, it's almost half of your damage, right? It's just absolutely insane, you know. And you have quite a few different different one. What was the second form on it? Was it a triangle?
A
Right?
triangle,
If
I
remember,
believe. Yeah.
triangle. So triangle ones as well. You have some pretty solid ones as well, like constant. The wearer has an 8% chance to gain an extra turn after killing an enemy. This is more for PvP based on whatever characters you might be bringing in. It's really a shame that killing stuff doesn't count in Hydra, because this would be absolutely amazing at the same time, right? There are a few of them that when attacking targets under crowd control, again, will have a chance to repeat the attack. That can only work when you're actually doing it versus the head of a decay and you're provoking it, right? There are a lot of them after killing, but there's this one right here, the critical strategy. I have this one as well equipped on it. Increases the wearer's crit damage by 10 for each enemy whose HP is at 50% or lower. This can be crazy in the Hydra as well. So you could potentially get like a 40% extra crit damage, or to be more realistic, 20% on it most of the time, you know. So
I think that one in particular has a lot of value too over the course of fights like Hydra, for
yeah,
example, where the further you go on, and we're using Trunda as an example, but we can even flip it to other champions. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Irethi Coronet pretty much benefits anybody that is using some form of debuffs in addition to their damage, right? It's like a Nature's
Yeah,
Wrath on top of it, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Razelvarg, all of
all
these
of them,
champions
yeah.
that debuff and do good
Yeah.
damage. Yeah,
I actually thought about this too. I'm going to throw in an unorthodox pick that I think a lot of people kind of respect a little bit more would be like Carnage, for example, in Hydra, especially in the second
yeah,
form.
true.
He scales off of accuracy and target smash as a gemstone, being a triangular one for that as well. You got the Irethi Coronet. He does some debuffs, right? You get the value out of that relic, and then you can add like target smash as a gemstone, which will give you more damage off of something he already scales up, like accuracy being, for every percentage of 1% of their total accuracy, he does more damage. That could be a little
Mm.
complementary damage on top of that. So really good synergies for damage dealers using Irethi Coronet.
Yeah, very, 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 very strong for damage dealers. What do you have next?
All right, for us, we're gonna do another flip to I would say like more of a support style type
Okay.
one. We're gonna go demonic effigy. It's a epic one. Right.
Yep.
It has the ability to give turn meter increase whenever one of their allies dies. So maybe you're going over some battle of attrition. Think about that pesky ram that likes to counterattack and or you reflect damage and your DPS so happens to die. You get a little bit extra turn meter boost on that. Or
Yep.
maybe you battle of attrition and Hydra. Maybe one of your champions took a little bit too much damage and you need to get your support in there to bring it back up. Early, late, mid game players, depending on your teams, you can get some value there. Or even in PvP, where like you're fighting and someone got a counterattack off or something that was able to take out one of your important champions. This gives your support the extra little oomph to get back into the fight, to maybe turn that tide and get your team back online. Not to mention HP being a really good stat, a little bit of speed,
Mm.
not too bad. And then for those that are trying to mitigate too much CC, having that resistance is not too bad either. And some really cool gemstones to go along with it too as well. I mean, um Unburden, I think, as like a very quick, uncommon or common rare one that you can get, which kind of benefits on top of that. For a diamond gemstone socket,
Yep.
wear speed increases by 2 for each dead ally. Like we're talking about what you're getting turn meter whenever someone does die. You got another little bit more speed on top of that to help you really get back. Like it's basically like injecting your support back into the fight to make sure your team stays alive and keeps it going. And I think that's very very healthy and a lot of
Strong ones for
situational
revivals
play
here.
with it. Yeah, yeah, very
Diamond
good
ones. Yeah.
support.
Revivals, boon, heal and go. These are all amazing for revivals. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, like you said, we already talked about circular gems too, as well, with some pretty good ones that kind of help you get faster, more effective, or a little bit more enabling in a sense. So I think
Uh,
that one's a pretty nice nod for an epic.
yeah, definitely not a bad relic whatsoever. But I'm keep backing out of the whole thing with the axe there instead of going back to the relics. But I'm gonna take it from an epic directly to a mythical, the Chrono Cube. This is actually such an interesting one as well, because the wearer has a 50% chance to take 2 turns in a row If this effect activates, the warrior skips the next turn. It can only happen once in a battle, right? But I feel like it can be such a freaking game changer on the right character to take 2 turns in a row. If you're talking about damage dealers, it's not really gonna benefit all of them a lot, right? Because some damage dealers might have a good AoE, some might not. You might not be able to pull off a lot of crazy things, but even with that being said, it will work amazing on some damage dealers as well, right? And being able to slot in 4 gemsmen, gain more turn meter, do more damage, right? Because there's so many different gemstones that you can customize in a mythical one. You know, I feel like you could go pretty damn crazy with these ones as well. On a support champion as well, or a turn meter booster that can basically take 2 turns, or champion that strips buffs and deals damage after. You know, like think about Odin. You have this on an Odin as an example. You go in with a A2, bang an extra turn. You put their reviver to sleep, or the damage dealer to sleep as well, and you stun the rest as well. Or who knows? So many different combinations.
Yeah, I definitely think that Chrono Cube is really, really strong. It gives you the opportunity for champions that, like, if they got an extra turn, would win the fight. You're saying
Mm,
Odin, strip, and then A3, you're knocking out not only the whole team in terms of CC, but you're also taking someone out along with you, and job done. Very,
yeah.
very, very, very strong.
I don't think it's necessarily very good for PvE, this one, but for PvP is really nasty, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What else you have on, bro?
All right, so this one's going to be my next big one. We kind of talked about this one before on our previous video, but I think nevertheless it still deserves a lot of respect. And you know what? I got to give a shout out to Skratch on this one too, because you can use it in 2 different ways,
Mm,
both defensively and offensively, and that's Gilded Dragonstone.
yep,
This one in particular gives some really good stats for survival, obviously defense, HP, and resistance. But
yep.
the stacking effect of being able to add more defense, so your total defense that you get, and being able to stack it up an additional percentage, which I think scales up to a total
Of
of
20.
20%. Actually, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Actually, no, it's 30, right? It starts at a base of 10, and then it goes up 2%
10
per
more.
level. So, oh no, 10 more. Yeah, yeah, okay, okay, yeah, you got it, you got it. I'm sorry, I can't math. Really, really strong. Really, really good for helping you out survive. And then on top of that, being able to use it offensively. Maybe you have a defensive nuker. Think Marius,
Yep.
for example. Adding more damage scaling on top of his already strong kit makes him pack more of a punch. A little bit of HP doesn't hurt too in terms of survivability. And then with like gemstones on top of that too, we got some squares and circles. We already talked about circles on that one. So for the support champions, if you're looking at it, there's like damage mitigation. Where if a champion's about to take the wearer of the relic is about to take a lot of damage, equal to like 30% or more, you can decrease the damage received by 10%. So
With which one?
um, damage mitigation is to the left of opening gambit.
Oh, okay, the damage one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one, yeah. That one's not too bad, and the one right before it too, weakening resolve, all really good for mitigation, especially against, like, some factors of champions that are very relevant with multi-hit skills or
Mm.
just doing exponential amounts of damage, so really good mitigation that way. Um,
The square ones
what do
are
you
a bit
think?
more odd, to be honest. The
Yeah, they're
actual,
a little bit more
the
unique, I
actual,
agree.
yeah, because there's all about like provoke, crowd control, and all that. I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that, but they're a bit more weird if you're comparing it with the other shapes, you know.
A lot more niche, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very specific, you know.
Mhm.
Mm. Definitely not the best ones in terms of gemstones, the square ones, but either way, you have the ability to customize them and go crazy. And I'm keep backing out of that thing. One day I'll learn it, guys. You see, spending time on this screen, going back and forward rather than just backing out completely out of it can be can be pretty helpful. So I feel like I have one more left, if I'm not mistaken. I think so,
Okay.
right? So that's the wand of submission.
Oh, man. This one's gonna be the
This is
most the
my
most
most
busted.
wanted relic. So I've already got the best damage relic. I've got the other one, right, that gives me a bit of RNG. But this one, countering polymorph, guys, is the most freaking OP thing for PvP. And I have a couple of clanmates that got it today. I'm so damn jealous, to be honest.
Ah.
But man, leveled up, 50% chance to reflect polymorph back, right? So the polymorph has a 25% chance to proc. If you get a masteries, you can go up to 30% and proc. So if you're using it even on a Gizmek, right? Because we were talking about Gizmek in your video. You go with this, you proc polymorph, and then you have a 50% chance to reflect the polymorph back onto the champion that put it on you. I feel like
Correct.
it's just so damn powerful.
Not to mention good stats too, HP and speed.
Yeah.
Those are good on Gizmek.
On pretty much every champion, every debuffer,
Yeah.
Crixia, Armans, Odin, everybody pretty much can benefit from this one. Yeah, super
I
strong.
agree. What about gemstones for this particular one? We got what are the sockets we have? We have a
Uh,
diamond and two circles.
yeah, so I would definitely go with invigorated on one of them, right? On the second circle, it's getting a bit more odd because you don't know exactly what to pick. You do have the uh, uncontrollable, you have the puppeteer to gain more accuracy when attempting to place a stun. So this can work amazing on Armans, can work amazing on Odin, right? It's not gonna
Mhm.
benefit all of the champions. And we had a diamond, right? If I'm not mistaken, on this one, or what was it?
Correct. It was a diamond.
A diamond, yeah. So most likely here as well, depending on what sort of character you have on, a lot of them will either give you a thermometer or it will reduce the damage for each dead ally. They have very good for revivers on the diamond ones.
I got one for you. How about precision
And healers.
removal for
Yeah,
utility
it gives you
champions?
more accuracy when removing buffs for some of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So Crixia, Odin is gonna be good for that.
Hmm.
What else we have in terms of rares here? So Enchanted Shot. Uh, Increases the accuracy for each buff on them. If you're
That's
gonna
not
use the
bad.
thermometer booster before, right? There are some pretty solid ones in here as well. But I feel like the diamonds really benefit a lot the reviver supporters in terms of the super OP ones, right? Getting
I
some
agree. I agree.
accuracy is nice, but when you have something like heal and go, you have the revival's bone, like you have so many good ones for supporters, revivers, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Very, very
Mm.
strong approach to being able to give your support champions a little bit more value
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
These are definitely changing the game completely. I just hope they're not gonna go ham on them to monetize them. We're gonna see now with the event that they are bringing if they're trying to monetize materials or relics or stuff like this. Hopefully they
Yeah.
won't though.
I hope they
Anything
don't,
left?
to be honest with you.
Mm.
To be real with you. I feel like right now with Chimera being very fresh, I feel like giving everybody an opportunity to go and earn it and experience it organically, I feel like would
Yeah,
be a much more healthy experience for the game for sure.
yeah,
But
hundred
nevertheless, I
percent.
feel like these are very, very strong contributions to champions that are already decent or strong in their own right, and amplifying and giving more value to their kits by relics, or just giving more value to the relic itself, Very,
Yeah,
very strong
100%.
opportunities to do more.
I feel like it will be a bigger RNG fest with all of them, but
A
still, I'm
hundred
looking
percent.
looking forward, because we can use them as well. It's not like only the enemy in the team can use them. So that's
That's true.
the good thing. It is RNG based on what we're getting from here, but once we start picking up the better ones, guys, that's when you're really gonna see a massive, massive change in the game, especially in the PvP scene, right? And in PvE, there's already massive, massive changes. Irethi coronet took Tranda from like what 7-8 billion to 12 billion damage on
13. Yeah,
Nightmare,
it's up
13
there.
almost. Is just crazy. What you can do with them around.
I agree.
Insane.
I agree.
And
I'm looking forward to that hollow hilt, man. I want to get some more speed. I'm tired of getting
yeah, I
outfed.
think you have one more left, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe actually that covers it, but for the most part, I would say most of these relics they're really really strong. I mean, I think for sure, like I think you said your number one wanted right now is Wanda submission. I
Yeah.
think to give a alternative option, I think for me it's got to be Hollow Hilt. I think that's the one I want
Mm.
to see in
Yeah,
action
for the
on
speed
mine.
is nice. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. But that was all for the video, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which one of these relics you think is the most broken one? You have crazy damage, you have crazy speed, you have crazy RNG, countering polymorph, tons of different options. Which one is your most wanted? Let us know in the comments down below. And Soulsane, it was a pleasure to have you on the channel, bro. Finally, after all of this time talking about it, let's do it. Let's do it. It's good that it finally happened.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for one inviting me on, and number two, also this is kind of a complete side note, but I'm going to give my roses where I can. Ever since I got the opportunity to join Mad and be a part of the Mad crew, one of the most welcoming individuals was Skratch, and we've had enough time to kind of grow fighting together. We've fought in Siege, and we even went against our own counterparts, with Elite, and there was one last particular fight that we had to fight, and I had an extra attack, and I was like, I can go in on this. I feel like we can win this. And I was like, I want to run some ideas by you, Skratch. And he was like, let's get into it. And then me and him together devised a team. And I took on a very, very strong account and we got a big W from it. So
Yeah.
one of the more fonder memories. And I got to say, man, thank you for, being very open, very welcoming, and honestly, very open to communication too, which is really, really cool, man. So my
Yeah,
hats off
man.
to you, sir.
A pleasure to have you on, brother. Make sure you guys head over and check out his channel. The link will be in the description down below. Check out the other video that we dropped on his channel. And as usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.